Welcome to Basic and Bookish Podcast, where today we are recapping A Court of Thorns and Roses, Book 1 of the ACOTAR series by Sarah J Maas. I'm Kinsey.
And I'm Karly. Join us as we enter the Maasverse, preparing for the highly anticipated release of ACOTAR 6.
This is part of our Massive Maasverse Mayhem Crash Course season, where we will cover favorite ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, and Crescent City moments, world-building-and-lore breakdowns, ACOTAR 6 theories, and more before the sequel's release on October 27th, 2026. And once ACOTAR 6 is here, we'll be right by your side to recover from the inevitable cliff-hangover before ACOTAR 7's release on January 12th, 2027. And yes, we will be updating our theories between releases.
And with that, content warning and spoiler alert. This episode is full of ACOTAR spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, go do that first, and we will be here waiting for you when you get back.
Due to the nature of these books, this podcast is rated R in content and language. If you'd like to skip the ads and have access to full video formats, it's available now on Patreon. That link can be found in our show notes.
Now prepare to dive into the cauldron, because we're entering the Maasverse. I hope you brought your snow gear, because we are dropping straight into a snow-covered forest where our human FMC, Feyre Archeron, is hunting like her life depends on it, because it does. As luck would have it, Feyre comes across a deer, but before she can kill the deer for dinner, a large wolf intervenes. We're talking big, like werewolves from Twilight, and Feyre realizes the wolf must actually be Fae, which she's not thrilled about. Humans and Fae do not get along. In fact, Feyre hates the Fae and all of their cruel rumors. In this world, the mortal lands and Fae lands of Prythian are separated by a massive wall, and Fae, like this wolf, are forbidden to cross into the mortal lands. 500 years ago, there was a war that freed humans from slavery to the Fae, and this wall was erected as a result. Whether it is luck or fate, Feyre has an ashwood arrow, the only thing rumored to be able to kill the Fae. With hate in her heart, Feyre shoots the wolf with her ashwood arrow. It sees her, but doesn't put up a fight. Feyre skins the wolf and returns home to her family with the deer carcass and wolf's pelt. Be prepared for a found family trope in your future, because this family isn't it. Her older sisters are lazy and entitled, with Nesta being particularly cruel, while Elaine is infantilized to the point of being useless. After losing the family fortune and being beaten by debt collectors, her father acts useless, which leaves Feyre, the youngest daughter, to do everything to keep her family alive. It doesn't help that Feyre's dead mother made her swear to keep the family together.
Knowing that about Feyre's family, it should come to no one's surprise that when a beast comes crashing through the front door, absolutely no one lifts a finger to defend her, as the beast takes Feyre in payment for the Fae she's killed. According to the treaty between the Fae and humans, Feyre must pay with her life and live in Prythian forever or be killed. Don't be too concerned though, because apparently all that means for Feyre is getting to live in the lap of luxury in the spring court while indulging in her painting hobby. The beast who took Feyre turns out to be a gorgeous, blonde, shape-shifting high fae named Tamlin. To Feyre's dismay, his features, along with everyone else's in the spring court, are concealed behind a mask that cannot be removed. Tamlin keeps disappearing to deal with this mysterious blight that is affecting the lands of Prythian, leaving Feyre with Tamlin's red-headed sidekick, Lucien. With Lucien, she learns that what humans think they know about Fae is wrong, like Fae only speaking the truth and having a weakness to iron. Channeling his inner Ilya Rozanov, Lucien tells her, "Is lie. Liar told you that." And if you're not watching, I am wearing a Holinov t-shirt, and if you have no idea what that means, you should go read and watch Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed.
Yeah, we, like the rest of the bookish fandom, are already obsessed.
Anyways, back to the recap.
Feyre decides this life of luxury isn't for her and is desperate to return to her family. She attempts to enlist Lucien in helping her, but he refuses. However, he does give her information on the Suriel, an ancient, dangerous type of Fae who will answer any questions you have if you trap them. Feyre, armed with not much more than a hope and a prayer, goes in search of the Suriel, convinced it can help her find a way around the treaty and go back home. While Feyre may struggle to read or write, she is an excellent hunter and manages to catch the Suriel and learns the following. Feyre must not go home, or she and her family will die. Tamlin is High Lord of the Spring Court, which means he's one of the 7 rulers of Prythian. The High Lords are not merely powerful, they are power. Suspicious. The Suriel is, quote, older than the High Lords, older than Prythian, older than the bones of this world, whatever that means. When Feyre asks what can be done about the blight, the Suriel tells her to stay with the High Lord, that there is nothing else she can do, and warns her not to go looking for answers again, or, quote, "You will be devoured by the shadow over Prythian. He will shield you from it. So stay close to him, and all will be righted. If you know, you know."
The Suriel also provides a warning about the King of Hybern, the ruler of a nearby Fey Island kingdom, who is unhappy about the treaty that forced him to give up his human slaves. The Suriel tells her that hundreds of years ago, the king started dispatching his most trusted loyalists to infiltrate the other courts, kingdoms, and empires around the world, and collected information for 50 years that he used to make a plan. And just as the Suriel begins to tell Feyre about someone referred to as the Deceiver, who, by the way, disobeyed the King of Hybern almost 50 years ago, they are interrupted by the Naga, a deadly type of lesser fairy creature. The Suriel warns her one last time to stay with the High Lord to see everything righted. In an act of mercy, Feyre frees the Suriel and they both flee the Naga. Feyre manages to kill a couple of them when they catch up to her, but as she's human, there's no way she can take them all down on her own. Just before she's slaughtered, Tamlin comes to her aid and brings Feyre back to the manor. Weeks pass, and Tamlin and Feyre spend more time together. He awkwardly flirts with her, and at one point they swim in a pool of starlight. The night of the Calanmai festival arrives, signifying the beginning of spring, and while all of the spring court begins to party, Feyre is officially uninvited. And actually commanded to stay in the house with zero explanation. To absolutely no one's surprise, Feyre does not listen and ventures out to the festival, where she is almost immediately noticed by 3 Fae with nefarious intentions for Feyre. Before they can drag her too far away from the festival, they are interrupted by a handsome stranger who is the most beautiful man Feyre has ever seen.
Oh,
I wonder who that is. This unnamed Fae will be important, so maybe jot this moment down for later. He helps Feyre get away to rejoin the festival and leaves her to enjoy the evening. But before she can, she's interrupted by Lucien, who literally drags her ass back to the manor like a sack of potatoes.
There, Lucien explains to Feyre that Calanmai is the night Fae regenerate the magic of the land. This is done by performing the Great Rite, and Lucien tells her, quote, "Tonight, Tam will allow great and terrible magic to enter his body. The magic will seize control of his mind, his body, his soul, and turn him into the hunter. It will fill him with his sole purpose to find the maiden. From there, coupling, magic will be released and spread to the earth, where it will regenerate life for the year to come." Lucien warns Feyre that Tamlin won't be the fairy that she knows. The magic will consume him, and he won't know who he is anymore. Had she been there for Calanmai, Tamlin would have smelled and claimed her. Lucien insists she stay in the room until morning. However, when Feyre wakes in the night to search for a snack, she runs into Tamlin. He is still not quite himself and bites Feyre on the neck. And if you are listening to this and are intrigued, I have a whole list of shifter romance recs for you. Anyway, back to the recap. Seriously, slide into my DMs. I will send you those recs.
Tamlin apologizes for biting her, and Feyre apologizes for being upset about it because she is a people pleaser to a fault. As time passes, strange things continue to happen in the spring court, like decapitated heads being found in the garden, and the appearance of the adder on the grounds, and Feyre overhearing the adder claiming Tamlin has a heart of stone. Everything odd and unusual is either blamed on the blight or the sinister night court. Summer solstice arrives, and Feyre gets drunk on fairy wine despite Lucien's warnings. Since she's human, she enters a trance-like state and dances the night away to Tamlin's totally hot fiddle playing, and at one point dances to the Will-o'-the-Wisps. She ends the celebration by making out with Tamlin, and no worries, there is no biting this time. As Feyre is settling into a new normal in the spring court, finally accepting that she needs to listen to the Suriel and stay with Tamlin, the handsome stranger who saved her on Calanmai arrives at the spring court and crashes lunch. It turns out he's Rhysand, the much-feared High Lord of the Night Court and Amarantha's whore. Lucien attempts to glamour and hide Feyre from Rhys, but fails, and Rhys threatens to tell Amarantha about the existence of Feyre. Tamlin begs, quite literally on his knees, for Rhys to keep Feyre a secret. When Rhysand asks Feyre her name, she lies and gives him a village girl's name instead, claiming to be Claire Better. Rhys leaves without promising to keep the secret. Tamlin, fearing for Feyre's safety, insists she must return home. They spend one passionate night together where Tamlin tells Feyre he loves her, but Feyre has commitment issues and is unable to say it back.
Been there, girl. When Feyre returns home, it is not to the hovel of a cottage she left, but a mansion. Her family was glamored to think their lost fortune was returned and that Feyre was away taking care of a sick, non-existing aunt. That is, everyone but Nesta? Somehow the glamour did not work on her. Nesta remembers Feyre being taken and even attempted to find a way to save Feyre in Prythian, and Feyre shares everything that has happened while she is in the Spring Court. Days pass and Feyre finds out that Claire Better, the girl whose name she gave to Rhysand, is missing and Claire's entire family and staff was killed in a fire. Suspicious. Feyre suspects this has to do with Rhysand and the mysterious amaranth that he spoke of and decides she must return to the Spring Court to get answers. Upon her return, she finds the manor sacked and empty, save for one maid, Alice, who tells her the truth. There is no blight. 49 years ago, Amarantha managed to take control of the magic of the High Lords, making herself Queen of Prythian. And the only way for Tamlin to regain control of his magic and save the Spring Court was if a human girl who hated fairies and killed one of his sentients in cold blood told Tamlin she loved him. Alice makes it clear she blames Feyre for their current predicament because of course it's her fault. Tamlin, the rest of the Spring Court, and all of the High Lords were taken by Amarantha under the mountain, a sacred face site defiled into Amarantha's palace.
Rip. Feyre convinces Alice to show her the way to the mountain so she can get Tamlin back. Alice warns her to not make any deals, to not drink the wine, and to not trust a soul as her senses could betray her. Now, throw all of those rules out the window because that's exactly what Feyre does. When Feyre attempts to infiltrate the mountain to find Tamlin, she is immediately caught by the adder and brought to Amarantha, where she sees Claire Better hanging dead from the wall. Amarantha makes Feyre a deal. Survive 3 trials and she will free Tamlin and the Spring Court, undoing their curse. Amarantha also provides an alternative challenge. Feyre can simply solve one riddle and Tamlin will be freed instantaneously. But if she gets the answer wrong, then Feyre dies. And so does the hope of all of the Fae in Prythian. When given the riddle, Feyre doesn't know the answer and accepts that each month she must undergo the trials instead. The first trial is to survive being hunted by a giant worm, which Feyre manages to kill using her skills as a hunter. However, she is critically wounded. In order to save herself, she must make a deal with Rhysand, return to the Night Court with him for 1 week each month for the rest of her life in exchange for him healing her. Feyre agrees and the bargain is sealed with a tattoo on her arm.
Between trials, Feyre is made to look like a fool. Rhysand dresses her up for parties and makes her drink fairy wine that has Feyre forget the entire evening. Amarantha forces Feyre to complete menial tasks or face severe punishment, like cleaning muddy floors with dirty water and picking lentils from a fireplace. With both tasks, Feyre is secretly assisted by a fae. Once by Lucian's mother, the Lady of the Autumn Court, for saving Lucian by telling Amarantha her real name. If Feyre didn't give her name, then Rhysand would have been forced to destroy Lucian's mind. Another time, Rhysand helped Feyre because he likes playing games with Amarantha. The second trial mocks Feyre's inability to answer the riddle. She's placed in a cage with Lucian where a spiked ceiling slowly descends on them as Feyre is forced to answer a question by pulling one of 3 levers. Unfortunately for Feyre, she's illiterate and Lucian is chained up too far away to see the question written on the wall. Feyre decides to leave the answer up to fate, and just as she is about to pull a lever, she feels a burning in her tattooed arm. Each time she attempts to grasp 2 of the levers, the feeling stops her, and she realizes Rhysand is helping her cheat. When no burning feeling comes over the 3rd lever, she pulls, and the spiked ceiling stops just above her head, saving herself and Lucian from the second trial. After the second trial, Feyre enters a state of despair. She realizes that there's no possible way for her to survive the 3rd trial if she couldn't even complete the second trial without cheating. As she's about to lose all hope, beautiful music filters through her cell, giving her the will to continue on.
Aww. At the last trial, Feyre is presented with 3 masked fae she must stab in the heart. Feyre tells herself that freeing the entire Spring Court has to be worth the horror of this sacrifice. Each kill is agonizing, and when Feyre gets to the 3rd fae, they're unmasked to be Tamlin. Feyre can't kill the face she loves and is about to stab herself for her crimes when she remembers that part of the curse Amarantha put on the spring court made Tamlin's heart into stone. Feyre stabs him, knowing he will survive. Amarantha is furious that Feyre successfully completed the trials and declares that she never said when she would release Tamlin from the curse when making that bargain with Feyre. The only way for an instantaneous cure was if Feyre solved the riddle. Amarantha goes on to break every bone in Feyre's body, and just before Amarantha kills her, Feyre realizes the answer to the riddle is love. With her last words, Feyre answers the riddle, releasing the curse. With his regained power, Tamlin immediately kills Amarantha, but it is too late for Feyre. She is already dead and watching the scene through Rhysand's eyes thanks to their tattoo bond. Wink, wink. As a thank you for all she did for all of Prythian, each High Lord provides Feyre with a drop of their power, which brings Feyre back to life as a High Fae. With Amarantha dead and the High Lord's power returned to them, everyone begins returning to their courts. Tamlin promises that he'll find a way to get Feyre out of the bargain with Rhysand so she doesn't have to visit him once a month. Feyre can feel Rhysand pulling on the magical bond they have and finds him out on a balcony. As he is saying goodbye to Feyre, he seems to startle, as if shocked by something. Feyre tries asking him what is wrong, but Rhysand disappears before she can. After that odd goodbye, Feyre leaves with Tamlin to return to their home in the Spring Court. Aww, how cute.
And they lived happily ever after, and there are no more books in the series. That was it.
Indeed. Dork.
And this is where we leave you today, Basic Book Besties. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave us a review and join us for our next episode where we are discussing our favorite moments, foreshadowing, and characters from A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you need more bookish content, we have spice ratings, Fourth Wing deep dive topics, our thoughts on recent adaptations, and more. If you stick around, we have really fun author interviews scheduled and discussions on some of our favorite contemporary romances.
You can join us over on Patreon, where you can access all of our episodes ad-free 3 days early and in full video, plus extras like exclusive book club access and shoutouts on the show. You'll find our Patreon link in the show notes, along with all the ways you can support the podcast.
Don't forget to stay in the loop by following us on social media and joining us in the Discord chat. Who knows? You might just meet your next book bestie there. You can also check out our website, basicandbookishpod.com, for info about our upcoming seasons, our contact form, and more. We link that down in the show notes.
We'll be back next time. Until then, prepare to crash out over ACOTAR 6 as we continue to crash course our way through the Maasverse.
Well, oh boy, we'll be crashing out.
Ooh, yes.
But we do best. I need to put it in my calendar, okay?
Exactly.
I'm a bookish girl. I want to plan these things out.
Yeah, my TBR is very serious.
Yeah, it is. It's planned.
I say as I completely ruined my TBR by reading the Game Changers series.